She's 17. She goes missing. This is when the detectives went to Patrick and they began to question him. When asked, he told them the same thing that he told Valerie's mother, Sheena, that Valerie did not work that day and he hadn't seen her since the day before. This is when the investigators realized that Valerie had spent a lot of time alone with Patrick, the neighbor, who is her boss, outside of work. So not just while she's riding with him, cutting grass, but they were spending other time together. A witness ended up coming forward that said that he saw Patrick and Valerie together on that day, June 7th. Another witness even said that they saw Patrick driving Valerie's car that day. Like, why would he be driving her car? That's weird. This is when Patrick changed his story for the first time. And mind you, him and his wife have been going over to the family's house, consoling them. It's fine. She'll be back. She probably ran off with a boy, And now he's admitting that not only was he with her that day, but he even brought her back to his house. He said that after he brought her back to his house, he left and went to work. But when he got back home, Valerie was gone. So he didn't know where she went. Valerie's family found out that the U.S. Marshals had gotten involved in Valerie's case, and they had found Valerie's car at an apartment complex in a neighboring little town, Shelbyville. This is an apartment complex that Patrick had actually done some landscaping at. So they found Valerie's car, but they didn't tell anybody, not even Valerie's family. Now, something interesting is that Patrick's cell phone data, which, mind you, he willingly handed over to the investigators, shows that he went back to that apartment complex the very next day. When he was asked about it, Patrick said that he went back to the apartment complex and he got Valerie's car and he moved it to a different apartment complex and he parked it in the spot where the police eventually ended up finding it. Now, when he was asked why, Patrick said because Valerie asked him to. At this point, the investigators were obviously very suspicious, to say the least, of Patrick, but they did not have enough to arrest him for Valerie's disappearance. So they ended up arresting him for a misdemeanor for providing false information or misleading information during an investigation. Then in October, again, she went missing in June. Investigators brought cadaver dogs to search a pond on Scott's property. And when the cadaver dogs got there, they alerted to the scent of human remains. But when the pond was searched, there was no sign of any remains. The cadaver team said that it was possible that the pond water was actually carrying a scent of remains from somewhere nearby on the property. Because of this, the investigators decided that they would do an aerial search of Patrick's property the very next day to see if there was any disturbances in the ground. And I find this part of investigations so fascinating. The way that they can fly over and use certain equipment to see if there's been any digging. Even if it looks like there hasn't been any digging, they can find it. Then this brings us to November 28th. One of more than 50 search warrants at this point was executed at Patrick's property. The investigators were specifically interested in a large dirt pile that was covered in a bunch of debris. As they started digging, they found 2 homemade wooden boxes. The first box, they pulled it out, they opened it, and it had a bunch of paperwork and we'll say like adult film VHS tapes in it. When they pulled the second box out, this is where they found Valerie's body. The investigators couldn't initially say for sure that this was Valerie, but they were pretty sure because Valerie's fingernails were painted orange the day that she went missing. And the body that was in the box also had orange fingernail polish. Patrick was immediately arrested for murder and he was taken into the sheriff's office to be questioned again. Shockingly, Patrick gave a full confession to the story that he would tell. Sadly, we will probably never know for certain what actually happened at his house, though.
She tried to blackmail me into buying her a car.
So you strangled her. What room were you in when you strangled her?
Right there by my bedroom.
So you said she tried to seduce you for the car. Well, explain to me what happened.
She was wanting to come on to me.
Did she say she was going to get you in trouble, or?
Yeah, she was going to tell everybody that I was making moves on her. I wasn't gonna have it.
Okay.
Just things got out of hand.
Patrick denied ever having a romantic relationship with Valerie. We do know that Patrick did meet Valerie at the South High Garden Complex in Shelbyville that day, and he did bring her back to his house. He strangled her with this belt. So he says that's what ended up happening and how she lost her life. And then continued to wear that belt every day to work, to kiss his wife with, to go over and talk to the neighbors about their missing daughter. Go over there every single day, and she's in a box on the property, and you're wearing the belt. Like, you got to be one sick mammer jammer. You know what I mean? He also ended up admitting that he moved Valerie's car after the fact, and he threw her license plate and keys into the river to try to cover his tracks. Valerie's burial site was less than 100 yards from her parents' house. As a part of a plea agreement, Patrick pled guilty to 1 count of murder, and he was sentenced to 57 years in prison. I think 57 years in prison is too short. I don't care how much time he serves. And he's an older gentleman, so he probably will not get out. Just the fact that he could put her there and go and console her family and kiss his wife and that scares me, y'all. And wear the belt. Like, your elevator does not go to the top floor. If you can do that, if you're not tossing and turning, like itching, like, oh my gosh, I have this thing. Weird. And then he turned around at the end of it and tried to twist it and not only make it her fault, but he started spreading rumors about the family too, saying that they were certain things after what he had did. Valerie's parents said this after finding out that Valerie's remains had been found.
Did you know in your mother's heart this is not her running away, that this is something is my child?
I hoped, so I hung on to that. I wanted to believe that she did, but I didn't.
Did he ever help search for her?
No. No, all they did was come to our yard and talk to us for hours together, talking to us.
Throw away the key. Under the jail, throw away the key, in my opinion. I would tell you, make sure you're talking to your teenagers, but this is exactly what this sounded like this family did. They talked to her. She always told them where she went, even though she was almost 18. She had the Life 360 app on her phone, and it was her boss. It was her neighbor. Thank y'all for watching this video, and I will see y'all in the next one. Love you guys. Bye.